Are you intending to study in the UK but you're confused about your university credibility interview? Well, I was confused when I was actually applying for the university. So I went on YouTube and I watched a lot of videos. People telling like, these are the questions they talk about, this is how you answer. And then I went to university's specific website as well, where they had all of these like credibility interview questions. But when I was in the actual interview, when I gave the real interview, there was some questions which were never mentioned in the videos and which were never mentioned on the website as well. I have just made some sections so for you to understand like what they try to achieve, what they try to know, so you would have a better understanding. And after this video, I'm pretty sure that you can pass any interview from any university. So first thing first, guys, you do not have to confuse two interviews. The one interview is university credibility interview. The other interview is visa interview, which usually you get a call from immigration office, from home office, and they try to just see like if you're a genuine student. A lot of people are confused, like they consider this university credibility interview was the final interview and now there is no interview, but this is not the case. There is a possibility that you have given your university interview, like a credibility interview, but you are still being called on your phone number, on your mobile phone, when you have applied for your visa. But that's from the immigration office. So right now, today, in this video, we are talking about university credibility interview. So do not mix these two things. These are two separate things. And there is a possibility you can get two calls. Jumping into three categories. The first one is study. So you should know about your course, the contents, the university facilities, how do you study, and all these things we will discuss later in the video. The second section is definitely living in that specific city, because they do ask questions about your commute and all these things. Definitely we will discuss this as well in the later part of the video. And the third important thing is visa history. So this is a not very popular section where they ask about the visa history, like traveling history and all these things. But definitely they do ask questions just to make sure like, they know everything. So you can expect this question. So the third category is a not very common category, but the first two categories, like the first two sections, are very common, sections where you can expect that the interviewer can ask a lot of questions about study and living in that specific city. Let's talk about the categories or the sections individually, where I will let you know about some sample questions starting from study, living in the UK, and definitely about the visa history. So the first section is study. When it comes to study, they want to ask a lot of questions, and they do ask a lot of questions, honestly, because they want to see if you had a full-fledged or you have a full-fledged research on your course. You're not instructed by anyone, just like agents. So most popular question is, why this course? When it comes to why this course, you don't have to actually tell that how big this course is, how big this field is. Let's say like engineering, electrical engineering, how big it is, mechanical engineering, how big it is. Never ever do that. When it comes to this specific question, like why this course, why this specific degree, why this specific program, you have to actually tell your connection with this degree. So maybe you have to talk about your passion, your urge, and you have to talk about the future, like how you can earn from this specific degree in future. How can you make your life better with this university, or with this program? So you have to actually, this is something they want to hear, like you chose this course definitely for you because you're trying to study, not because of its big program in the world. So you might have to talk about the benefits that you can get after completing this or after finishing that specific course. Bear this in mind. Never ever talk about like how big the course is, how people are earning money, how do you feel like, this can be good. No, it should be like in a direct connection with you, because maybe you had a passion and you want to just you want to take your this course forward in your future. You want to just do something in this specific field because that's your passion, and you feel just because you are good at this thing, after studying in the same field, you can actually make your life better. You can earn better in the future. Always remember one thing, they can actually talk about your course and they can actually talk about the subjects as well, like what subjects would you be studying? And they can ask about their benefit as well, like the benefit of those courses, like those subjects, I would say. So be prepared. If they're like 4 or 5, if you're doing masters, there wouldn't be like more than 4 or 5. If it's bachelor's, they wouldn't be asking about a lot of things. So you can actually answer that generally, and you can actually make a list as well. But making a list wouldn't be natural. So what you have to actually do is you have to just like tell them about a few courses and how this would help you. And I'm pretty sure if you'll have a lot of content to talk about, if you have a lot of stuff to talk about, they will stop you there. So if you're speaking too much about the course, don't worry about it. You don't have to be like short and precise. You have to be explaining more about about your course, so they would know like you are a genuine student. So never hesitate if you're speaking too much. You can just go ahead and talk as much as you want. Now, the second most popular question is why this university? When it comes to why this university, you will find out a lot of videos on YouTube where they say like, just people try to just tell like, this university has a good ranking internationally. The campus is really good. But this is something they don't want to hear. They want to hear what made you choose this university. So campus and maybe like the ranking could not be the reason for you. When it comes to the university, you might have to talk about the facilities they're actually offering. So let's say like if you're going for a filmmaking course, for example, you can talk about the studios, you can talk about the editing suites, you can talk about the audio suites, you can talk about some other facilities as well. That is a very good answer. When you actually just consider all these things, when you actually put all these things in your answer, that makes it a very good answer. Instead of just telling like, London is a big city, I'll be getting a chance to just like, roam around, I'll have the chance to just enjoy the city. And that's why this is specific university. You should put this ranking part at the end of the, not the video, I'm sorry, at the end of the interview, but not in the middle of the interview, because you have to talk about some actual major benefits, the facilities university is offering. But be prepared whenever you will talk about the facilities. Like I chose this university because they have some good engineering rooms to practice my thing, for example. They will definitely ask about those engineering rooms. What made you the most interested in those rooms and what did you like in those rooms? So be prepared for those answers as well. Remember one thing, whenever you are answering, whenever you're preparing your answers, always think about the follow-up questions that they can ask after hearing your answer. You might have to tell the benefits of this specific course, like what benefits you would get. And it's not at all difficult. As I said, like I will give you tips as well. It's not at all difficult to find out the benefits of that course. What you have to do is you have to go to the university's specific website, go to that specific course, like the same way when you actually apply like masters in arts for filmmaking, let's say, and you just see like the course description and everything, and after that you actually see the benefits of having that course. You can actually write down those benefits and you can turn all those benefits, or you can modify them in your own words. Just make sure that you're natural as possible. There is a possibility that you did something in bachelor's, but you're actually changing your entire field of study in master's, and that is absolutely fine if you can justify that. Even if you have some gap year for 4 years or 5 years, you can even justify that as well. I had a gap year for 6 years. I finished my bachelor's in 2015 and I applied for the university in 2021. That is approximately 5.5 years, not 6 years entirely, but definitely they did ask me about the gap year as well. But when I'm saying how you would just relate your previous course to the new course, you should know, you should have some strong points in your hand. You should have a very good explanation about that. You should have some strong points, how these two fields are connected and how would it benefit you in the future, which is the most important thing. So I'm not really sure like what course you're applying for, like whatever field of study you're going for, but if you have a difference in the field of study, you might have to justify that even with the gap year. And if you had your working experience or you have working experience during this gap year, that's a big plus. So that was all about the first section. Let's move on to the second section, which is living in the UK. During your interview, when they're trying to make sure like you're a genuine student, they will definitely see if you have a good research about the city you'd be studying in and you'd be moving in. Now, the first and the most common question is, where do you want to live, or where would you live, or where do you intend to stay while studying in our university or in this university? Now, I will give you a quick tip, which is the easiest, I would say. So now, while you're researching about the courses, like your university courses, university facilities, you can actually go to their accommodation website where they're actually offering places for the international students, like the accommodation facilities to the international students. because on that website you'd be able to find out the benefits on that. So all you have to do is you have to go to the university specific website, like accommodation website, where you can actually find out about the rents, about the facilities like gyms, it's near to the city center, something like that, like easy commute and all these things. Because one important thing, if you would say, there are like few answers which are not really good. When you say like, yeah, once I will just pass this credibility interview, once I'll get my visa, then I'll sort out my accommodation thing, or like accommodation issues, or I'll sort out my accommodation. That's not a very good answer, because that shows that you're not fully prepared to move to UK. You're not fully prepared to come here and just like study. So for them to know like you're fully prepared, you should have a concrete plan. But the second scenario is when you say like, I have the accommodation, I was just researching on different websites. There is a place that I can find in £400 a month or £450 a month. It's a student accommodation, like 4 people are living in the property. They do not want to know about all these things. Like if there are 3 people living or 4 people living in that property, they want to know. The next follow-up question would be, then how would you travel from your home to the university? And that would be the most difficult thing to actually justify, because if you're coming in for the first time, you don't know about the routes, you don't know about the roads, you don't know about the buses, you don't have any information. And definitely you can't say that I will take a taxi every day until I find out the right the way from a university. Or you cannot just say like, I have a house very close to this university and I'll walk every day. Because again, if you will say I'll walk every day, they will ask you about the ways. Do you know about the ways, and how do you? And that is a big discussion when it comes to this specific answer, because they can ask you about everything. They can ask you about everything. So if you're starting from point A, how do you reach your university? So to save yourself, save your time, and to give a perfect answer, just let them know, well, I was researching about the university accommodation and these are the benefits that I'm going to get. So these are the things that I'm going to be utilizing. And for all these things, I feel like this is the best place for me to live during my studies. And that actually deletes rest of the answer when it comes to how would you travel. And if there is a question, let's say like your student accommodation is somewhere away from the university, they actually have the full-fledged map and the plan from the university to the accommodation on the website. So that's the second benefit. So if you just say like, I will take the accommodation on campus, like, or in university accommodation, which doesn't matter, like if it's away, you will actually see the plan there on the website, which says like you can travel from this bus, or like you can just do this and that and you can reach university. So all of your answers will be there on the university website, which is a very, very, very good thing. The second most important thing, they try to find out if you have a good idea about the city, if you have a good research on the city. When it comes to the city, you should know about some good tourist attractions. Yeah, because they definitely do not ask you about some good convenience stores. They don't ask you about, some parks. They don't ask you about some cinemas and all. But definitely you can talk about some tourist attraction. But keep this thing in your mind that the primary motive and objective is studies. So you cannot actually say, yeah, I know about the city and I chose the city because of a nightlife or how good the city is in terms of parties every day. So definitely you cannot talk about that. You have to stick to your studies. You have to just explain the benefits. Definitely you're a human being. You would go out. You will definitely have fun. Do not tell like you're a party guy. You intend to do a lot of things. When it comes to city, there is another important thing. They try to see if you know how expensive that city is. So when it comes to the expensivity, you can simply go to Google and you can write cost of living in this specific city, and that will give you all the information that you want to know. So you can actually combine few points and you can talk about it if you feel like you need it. Otherwise, do not bring anything which is not related to the interview. So if someone is talking about, or like your interviewing is asking about, he's asking about the city and you want to know them, you want to tell them about the city, just talk about some basic stuff. Interviewers, sometimes they do ask you, how do you manage your expenses? Remember one thing, you are only allowed to work 20 hours, and 20 hours a week cannot generate enough money to live a life in the UK anywhere. So if you're saying with 20 hours a week and 80 hours a month, I can just, make a lot of money and I can do all these things and I can afford my rentals, my bills, and then I can spend money on my leisure. That's absolutely not possible. So remember one thing, when it comes to the expenses, if they're asking how would you manage your expenses, do not rely on those 20 hours. Just let them know that you have enough finance, like you have enough money. That's why you showed your bank statement. So your father is supporting you, your family member is supporting you, or whatever, like the evidence of financial statement you're actually presenting. Just talk about that, just to let them know that you're all covered. You're not relying on 20 hours job. And never ever mention that you will work more than 20 hours. That would be the silliest answer, because more than 20 hours is not allowed and it's absolutely illegal. How would you live here? How would you pay your rents? How would you just like manage other expenses? How would you spend on your leisure? Let them know that you have the bank statement, like a piece of paper that you're actually submitting as an evidence that you are all covered for a year and you do not have to worry about anything. So if you'll be working for 20 hours, that will be like all in all your money that will be going in your pocket. That's not an additional expense, so you can just like do whatever you want. With that, let's jump into the last section, which is a not very popular section and a not very common section, because this section is actually for the immigration office, for the home office, but this is called visa section. But you can expect questions from this section as well. Well, it's their choice. If they want to ask some questions regarding your travel history, they can always ask these questions. So there are not too many questions. There are very few questions. The first and the most popular is travel history. So have you ever traveled to any other country? You can talk about that. You can let them know. If you haven't traveled to any other country, you can just talk about that. Like, it's not a just yes or no question. Maybe you can talk a bit more about it, like, no, I haven't been to any other country. This would be my first experience, and that's why I'm really excited. Like, my first experience, and again, like a very good country, so that's why I'm like really excited. Or if you have been to some countries, just let them know, like, yeah, it was good for tourism purposes, or I lived there, I did this, or I did that. Just be honest about it, because there is nothing to hide about it. So even if you have traveled or not traveled, that's not, very important for them to know. But sometimes they ask these questions. And one thing which I actually got from someone, it says like someone like university that did ask this guy if you have ever been deported from any country. Well, I'm just very surprised like why university has to do with this specific thing, but definitely they try to make sure like all your documents are straight. So yeah, that makes sense that they can ask this question. So have you ever been deported? If you have ever been deported from any country, please, please, please be very honest about it, because honesty is the best policy. And if you let them know about this, that would make your cases straight. Never hide anything. That's the key. And with this, I feel like this was a very short and not very common, I would say, like section, like the third and the last section in the whole thing. Now I'll move on to the unexpected questions that they can ask, which they asked me actually, and I actually freaked out for a while, like why they asked this question, because it was never mentioned on any YouTube video and it was never mentioned anywhere on the university website as well. So the first question I never expected, well, while in my interview, I was just talking a lot about the university. I said like how this university will be too good for me, how like this is good for my future and everything. And I was talking a lot about the university I had applied for. But now they said like, I'm researching right now while you're speaking about the university that you have some good universities in your country as well. So let me give you an idea. I came here for this screen production course and I was saying like this university is good because of this studios and all these things. And then they said that I am actually on the website of one university and I can see they have some good studios and all these things like you mentioned. So why this country? Like, why are you coming to this university? That freaked me out for a while. And that's a very tricky question. Like, if I have all the facilities in my country, why am I coming to the UK? I talked about everything, which is, which I never thought that they will ask this question, but definitely that freaked me out. But remember this thing, that they can ask this question as well. Like if you have the same opportunities in your country, and if you do have the opportunities in your country, then why are you coming to the UK? Now, the second question that freaked me out, I actually told them that I had a gap here for 5 years, 6 years, and I was speaking like I was doing really good, and I am doing really good. I'm doing work with these people or those people. I have like a good portfolio and everything. And they asked me If everything is going so good, don't you think like you're already on a right track? Why are you coming to the university? Would it be good to just like, or do you consider it's good to, or it's a good decision to put a stop on that, all that progress just to study? That was a tricky question. Why? Because they want to see like if I'm a genuine student. So if I'm doing really good, what's the point of just coming to the university for further studies? Because yeah, you're already earning, you're doing really good. That freaked me out again, but then I had to justify like how I can add more things into my knowledge and how can I learn more things. Yeah, definitely I'm doing really good, but the scope of those things are like really small. I want to just like, earn or just learn more things. Now, the third and the most important question, is a very common question, but I didn't know about that because I couldn't find it on YouTube and definitely on the websites as well. But people told me like it's a very, very common question. And the question was, do you want to stay in the UK after you finish your studies? Now, they never asked me this question straight away. What they did was they asked me about the opportunities in my country and definitely opportunities here. They did ask me if I have researched about the opportunities here in the UK, like how would I work here? And when I explained about multiple opportunities, like how I have a good research about all these things and how I can just like go about, my career, they then asked me if I intend to stay in the UK. Now, remember, your primary motive is to study and go back to serve your own country. So interviewers, it's a very harsh reality, but they don't want to hear like you are coming here to stay here forever. You have to tell them after finishing your studies, you have to go back and you have to serve your country. Well, if they ask you like if you intend to go back and you want to add like, yeah, I want to work here as well, definitely that is your right, but you can actually let them know like you're more interested in going back. But in future, if you get a good job, if you get a good opportunity, definitely you will just go for that, you will avail that, and then you will decide like, what's better for you. But right now, at this current moment, I feel like I will go back to my country because I have more opportunities there and I can earn more from there. To be very honest, they don't want to hear that you saying that I want to live in this country and I'm coming here to just like live here forever. To be very honest, that's not going to help you. So guys, that's all about the 3 sections. I have covered major questions, and I feel like that covers everything. But if you feel like you have questions, you can post it in the comments so I can just go ahead and reply to those questions as well. I'm so sorry if I missed a few. Subscribe this channel if you feel like, I added anything new in your information. I will keep making more videos for you, and definitely I'll tell you things which people usually never tell. So until then, take care of yourself, and I'll see you again.